Hi, 4th and 5th. It's Mrs. Trinitza again with your third library lesson. Today we're going to talk about sequencing, which is another reading comprehension. It's another way for you to be able to understand better and comprehend what you are reading. We're still doing it from home, so let's get started. Okay, reading comprehension sequencing. And if you see down here sequencing 1, 2, 3, putting things that happen in a story, putting events in the story in order as they happened. Okay, so your learning intention is I can use strategies to help my reading comprehension, and success is I can complete activities that demonstrate understanding of select reading strategies. And if you remember in the past, we've done summarizing, we have done conflict and resolution, and these are other reading strategies that will help you as you grow as a reader to comprehend better what you are reading. Okay, how do readers better understand what they read? Well, we just went over that. Knowing your reading strategies, practicing them, using them, and as you get older, you will become better readers. Also, getting books that you like to read. Make sure that you're interested in what you're reading. Could be in fiction, could be nonfiction, and that it's on your level. Remember the 5-finger rule. If there's more than 5 words on a page you don't know, then that means it's just probably too hard for you. If there's only about 3 or less words on a page that you don't know, then you're probably good to go. Okay, here is a brain pop video about sequencing. So this will help bring it together a little bit. Putting things in order.
You should read this book next, Moby. It's called Superbot and the Art Thief. I love this book because the plot is really exciting. The plot is all the events that happen in a story. Events in a story occur in a certain order. What is sequence? Sequence is the order in which things happen or are described. Uh-oh. Somebody is up to no good. To hatch her latest plan, the evil Dr. M breaks into the art museum. Then she steals the most famous painting in the world. Quick, turn on the signal. Meanwhile, a mild-mannered robot named Mobius D. Bot quietly eats his lunch. When he sees the signal, he springs into action. This looks like a job for Superbot. Superbot chases the evil Dr. M through the city. Next, he chases her through the park. After that, he chases her through the zoo. The evil Dr. M gets away, but Superbot doesn't give up easily. The evil Dr. M passes by a store. She just can't resist going inside. But it's a trap. Superbot saves the day. Finally, the painting is back in its rightful place. Transitions can tell you about the sequence of events. What are transitions? A transition is a word that connects ideas together. First, second, third, then, next, and finally are all transitions that describe the order of events. Before, After, later, while, and meanwhile are also transitions that tell about time. Sometimes transitions are called signal words because they're a signal for you to pay attention. As you read, look for transitions that tell you about the sequence. The transitions in this recipe tell you what to do in a certain order. First, cut the carrots. Second, cut the onions. Third, cut the celery. Before you fry them, add salt and pepper. That means the fourth step is to add salt and pepper. After that, you fry the vegetables. How can you take notes on the sequence of events? It's helpful to take notes on the sequence in a graphic organizer. I'm going to use these notes later to help me write a book report. In nonfiction writing, there might be dates and times that tell you when important events happened. You can make a timeline to help keep track of them. Informational writing might explain something or teach how to do something. You can make a flow chart to help you keep track of all the steps. It's a chart that shows what to do first, second, third, and so on. Sometimes the order of events isn't so clear. How can you make inferences about the sequence of events? When you infer, you use what you know or see to come up with an idea. As you read, use clues to make inferences about the sequence. After the evil Dr. M escaped, Superbot came up with a plan. Later, the evil Dr. M fell into his trap. I think Superbot's trap probably took a while to set up. So, I can infer that the second part of the story happens later. When I read, I picture what happens in my mind. It helps me understand and think about what I'm reading. I wonder what will happen in the next book. What do you think, Moby? Whoa! Moby?
Okay, so let's go ahead and take a quiz on sequencing before we continue. I know you guys like these quizzes.
Start!
Okay, so this will definitely help out in teaching you how to put things in order, even making predictions. So what do you think happens next? So take a look. There is a caution wet floor sign. Moby looks like one of his legs is up. So do you think he's going to walk through the hall? Do you think he's going to fall down on the floor? Do you think he's going to eat lunch in the cafeteria? Or that he's going to watch a movie with Mia? Well, I'm looking at the clues. I see there's a wet floor sign, which probably means the floor is still wet. And to me, it looks like Moby is getting ready to slip. So I think he's going to fall down.
Moby falls down onto the floor.
Onto the floor. What do you think? I think we are right. Good job.
Moby falls down onto the floor.
Oops, sorry about that.
What do you think happens right before Moby eats lunch?
Okay. Do you think A, he washes his hands with soap and water? B, he wakes up and eats a healthy breakfast? C, he plants some carrot seeds in the garden? Or D, he puts on his pajamas and goes to bed? So think about what you might do right before you eat lunch. Would you wash your hands, wake up and eat breakfast, plant some carrot seeds, or put on your pajamas and go to bed? What do you think? Right before you eat your lunch. I think you're right. A, he washes his hands with soap and water.
He washes his hands with soap and water.
All right, good job, guys. Okay, what might you do after you eat dinner but before you go to bed? So think about it. You've already had dinner, but you're getting ready to go to bed. Would you brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, go to recess, have a picnic? Well, you're not going to eat breakfast because you just had dinner, so that's silly. Go to recess? No, it's not that time of the day. You weren't in school. Have a picnic? No, usually you would do that during the day, and you just had dinner, but you're getting ready to go to bed. So what do you think? I think you're right. Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Good job, guys. Okay, which happens first? Moby waits for the paint to dry. Moby gives his picture to a friend. Moby finger paints a colorful picture. Moby washes the paint off his fingers. Well, which one would have to happen first before any of the other ones can happen? So he waits for the paint to dry. Well, that couldn't happen first because what happened for the paint to have to dry? Gives his picture to a friend. Well, he hasn't done anything yet, so we don't know what picture he would be giving. Washes the paint off his fingers. Well, what did he do that he has to wash the paint off his fingers? Moby finger paints a colorful picture. What do you think? Do you agree? Good, so do I. He would have to paint a colorful picture, then he would wash the paint off his fingers, then he would wait for the paint to dry, then he would give his picture to a friend. But first he would have to finger paint the picture.
Moby finger paints a colorful picture.
Good job.
Eating a snack.
Oh, sorry about that. Moby read a book and then ate a snack. While he ate, he talked to Mia on the phone. Which two things happen at the same time? Eating a snack and reading a book. Reading a book and talking to Mia. Eating a snack and talking to Mia. Reading a book and eating a snack. So, he read a book and then ate a snack. While he ate, he talked to Mia on the phone. Which two things happen at the same time? So let's look again. This one's a little tricky. Eating a snack and reading a book. Reading a book and talking to Mia. Eating a snack and talking to Mia. Reading a book and eating a snack. Well, up here it says while he ate, he talked to Mia on the phone. So let's try eating a snack and talking to Mia.
Eating a snack and talking to Mia.
Good job. All right, do the Moby dance. You got all 5 right. Okay, good job. That was good practice on sequencing. Putting things in a story in order, and that helps you comprehend the story better also. Okay, this is a really cool online game that I found called Sequencing Practice, called Boom Cards. So we'll go ahead and do 2 or 3 of these. They're pretty cool. It's putting things in order from 1 to 5, and that will give us really good practice in learning how to put things in order, sequence. So let's go to here. All right, good job. So we have sequencing. Number each step from 1 to 5 to show the correct order. So let's read all of them. He washed the dishes. He put the dishes away in the cabinet. Tyler filled the sink with soapy water. He put the dishes into the water. Tyler dried the dishes with a towel. Well, what would be the first thing you'd have to do before you can wash the dishes? Well, you have to prepare before you wash them, and you can't put them away until you wash them, and you can't put the dishes in the water till you prepare the water, and you can't dry them until you wash them. So I think it would be filled the sink with soapy water. Do you agree? Good. So let's put a 1. Good job, because he has to fill it with soapy water first. Now the next step would be, so he's filled the sink with soapy water. So now he has to put the dishes into the water before he can wash them. That's going to be our number 2. So once he's put the dishes into the water, what's his next step? Is he going to wash them, put them away, or dry them? What would make the most sense? Washing the dishes. Good job. We'll put a 3 there. Now after he washes them, is he going to put them right into the cabinet, or does he have to dry them first? Well, he has to dry them. You don't want to put soaking wet dishes in the cabinet. Good job. Then once he's done, he will put them in the cabinet. Excellent. All right, so let's try another one. Carlita paid for her groceries. She filled her cart with groceries. She loaded the grocery bags into her car. Carlita got an empty cart. She waited in the checkout line. Well, if she's going to the grocery store to shop, what would be the first thing you need to do before you can start shopping for your groceries? You get your empty cart. She'd have to get her empty cart. Now, after getting her empty cart, would she pay for her groceries? Well, she hasn't put them in there yet. Would she fill her cart with groceries? Would she load her bags in the car, or would she wait to check out in line? Well, once she's got her empty cart, she would have to fill them with groceries. Good job. All right, now once she has filled them with groceries, is she going to pay for them, load them in her car, or wait in the checkout line? Well, if she's standing there with her cart full of groceries, she can't just leave the store, right? She has to wait in the checkout line. Good job. So we'll put a number 3 there. Then, once she's in line, someone will help her pay for the groceries. Good job. So that'll be number 4. Then once she's all done and she's paid for them, then she will load them in her car. Excellent. So let's take a look. So she gets an empty cart. She fills it with groceries. She waits in the checkout line. She pays for her groceries. Then she loads them into her car. Think we're doing okay? I do too. Good job. Excellent. Okay, this is kind of cool. Let's look at the next one. Oh, Philip. That's my brother's name. Well, he goes by Phil, but pretty cool. He opened the pizza box on the table. Philip paid the pizza delivery person. He ordered a large pepperoni pizza. Philip and his friends ate the pizza. Philip called the pizza restaurant. Okay, so what would be the first thing you would have to do before you can order a pizza? Right, you would have to call the pizza restaurant. That would be number 1. After you call the pizza restaurant, would you open the pizza box on the table? Well, that would be amazing if you called the restaurant and all of a sudden your pizza box was on the table. Would you pay the delivery driver? Would you order the pizza? Or would you eat it with your friends? Well, once you've called the pizza restaurant, you have to place your order, don't you? So this would be number 2. He ordered a large pepperoni pizza. Good job. After he orders it, Would he open the pizza box, pay the delivery driver, or eat it with his friends? Well, once he's ordered it, he has to wait for it to be delivered, right? So his next step would be to pay the delivery driver when they get to his house. So that would be number 3. Good job. Now, after he's paid the delivery driver, would you open the pizza box on the table, or would you eat the pizza with your friends? Well, you would need to open the box first, wouldn't you, to get the pizza out before you can eat it with your friends. Yes, I agree. So he opened the pizza box on the table, and then Philip and his friends ate the pizza. Good job. This is fun, isn't it? Putting things in order. How do things happen? That is what helps you comprehend or make sense of what's going on. And especially in your stories when you're reading them. If you know what order the events are in, it helps you comprehend it. It helps you make sense of it. Good job. All right, let's do one more. This is pretty fun. Let's see. Number each from 1 to 5. So Maddie put the birdhouse in a tree. Maddie got out the tools she would need. She watched a bird fly into the birdhouse. She painted the birdhouse red and yellow. She used the tools to make a birdhouse. Well, if your plan is to build a birdhouse, what is the first thing that you would need to do? You would need to get your tools out that you're going to need to build it. Good job. That would be number 1. So after she gets her tools out, would she put the birdhouse in the tree? Well, she hasn't made it yet. That would be silly. She watched a bird fly into it? Nope, she hasn't made it yet. She painted it? Nope, she hasn't made it yet. So here, she used the tools to make a birdhouse. Good job. So this would be number 2. So she gets her tools. She uses them to make the birdhouse. Now, what would make the most sense? Would she put the birdhouse in the tree, watch a bird fly into it, or paint the birdhouse red and yellow? Well, Miss T's opinion is she would need to paint it if that's what she wanted to do before putting it in the house, in the tree. Because you're not going to want to put it in the tree, then you'd have to take it back out of the tree to paint it. So it'd be best to paint it first. Good job. Then, once you have built it and painted it, then you would put it in the tree. Good job. Then once it's in the tree, then the birds will have a chance to fly into it. So she would watch a bird fly into her birdhouse. Excellent. So I think we're good. So let's hit this. Okay. Now we're going to listen to a short story of Jumanji. And no, it's not the movie. It's a book about Jumanji. And I'm going to stop in 8 different places. What I would like for you guys to do, if you can, go ahead and pause the video and get yourself a piece of paper, or maybe get yourself some Post-it notes if you have any, and a pencil or a pen, whatever you like to use. And I'm going to stop the video at certain spots. And when I stop it, I'm going to instruct you to pause your video, think about what's already happened, and write little notes. You know how on the Brain Pop video, they said you could write a list of notes to help you remember what order things were in. So once I pause the video, you can write down little notes and about what has happened in the story so far. And then what we will do once the story's over, I have my own little notepad thing here, and I will write in each one of these what happened. And you can see if you were paying attention and if what you wrote matches what Miss T is going to write. Okay? So that shows me and shows yourself that you're paying attention to what's going on in the story. Okay. And as you're doing it, you might want to put number 1 for the first one you write and number 2 for the second one you write. Okay. So, here we go.
Jumanji by Chris Van Allsburg. Now remember, Mother said, your father and I are bringing some guests home after the opera, so keep this house neat. Quite so, added Father, tucking his scarf into his coat. Mother peered into the hall mirror and carefully pinned her hat in place, then knelt and kissed both children goodbye. When the front door closed, Judy and Peter giggled with delight. They took their toys out of their toy chest and made a terrible mess. But their laughter slowly turned into silence. And finally, Peter slouched into his chair. You know what, he said. I'm really bored. Me too, sighed Judy. Why don't we go outside and play?
Okay. So, what has happened so far? I want you to write down on a sheet just little notes about what's happened so far. Because when we're all done, that's the first thing we're going to write here. Okay, and you can go ahead and pause this and keep it paused until you have written your notes. And I'm going to go ahead and start the story back up, but just keep it paused while you're trying to write your notes for the first one. And then you can start it back up.
Peter agreed, so they set off across the street to the park. It was cold for November. The children could see their breath like steam. They rolled in the leaves, and when Judy tried to stuff some leaves down Peter's sweater, he jumped up and ran behind a tree. When his sister caught up with him, he was kneeling at the foot of a tree, holding a long, thin box. What's that? Asked Judy. It's a game, said Peter, handing her the box. Jumanji, Judy read from the box, a jungle adventure game. Look, said Peter, pointing at the note taped at the bottom of the box. In a childlike handwriting were some words. Free game. Fun for some, but not for all. P.S. Read instructions carefully. Want to take it home? Asked Judy. Not really, said Peter. I'm sure somebody left it here because it's so boring. Oh, come on, protested Judy. Let's give it a try. Race you home. And off they ran, with Peter at her heels.
Okay, so go ahead and on another Post-it or the number 2 on your paper, write down what has happened since the first time I stopped it. So this is going to be the second. So what has happened since they left their house? And that's going to go on then. But you should have a Post-it or a piece of paper where you wrote the first time I stopped it, what happened, and what happened during the second part of the story. Okay, keep it paused as long as you need to write it down, and then you can start it back up. So here is the number 3. The third part. So pay attention to the third part. Then you're going to write down what happened in the third part.
At home, the children spread the game out on a card table. It looked very much like the other games they already had. There was a board that unfolded, revealing a path of colored squares. The squares had messages written on them. The path started in the deepest jungle and ended in Jumanji, a city of golden buildings and towers. Peter began to shake the dice and play with the other pieces that were in the box. Put those down and listen, said Judy. I'm going to read the instructions. Jumanji, a young people's jungle adventure, especially designed for the bored and restless. A. Player selects a piece and places it in the deepest jungle. B. Player rolls dice and moves pieces along the path through the dangers of the jungle. C. First player to reach Jumanji and yell the city's name aloud is the winner. Is that all? Asked Peter, sounding disappointed. No, said Judy. There's one more thing, and this is in capital letters. D. Very important. Once a game of Jumanji is started, it will not be over until one player reaches the Golden City. Oh, big deal, said.
Okay. So this is part 3. So what just happened in the third part? Go ahead and pause it and give yourself time to write down what you remember happened in the third part between when they got home and until now, when Miss T paused it. So you go ahead and pause it, write what you need to write, and then start it back up. And Miss T is going to go ahead and continue playing it.
Said Peter, who gave a bored yawn. Here, said Judy, handing her brother the dice. You go first. Peter casually dropped the dice from his hand. 7, said Judy. Peter moved his piece to the 7th square. Lions attack. Move back 2 spaces, read Judy. Gosh, how exciting, said Peter in a very unexcited voice. As he reached for his pieces, he looked up at his sister. She had a look of absolute horror on her face. Peter, she whispered, turn around very, very slowly. The boy turned in his chair. He could not believe his eyes. Lying on the piano was a lion, staring at Peter and licking his lips. The lion roared so loud it knocked Peter right off of his chair. The big cat jumped to the floor. Peter was up on his feet and running through the house with the lion a whisker's length behind. He ran upstairs and dove under the bed. The lion tried to squeeze under, but got his head stuck. Peter scrambled out and ran from the bedroom and slammed the door behind him. He stood in the hall with Judy, gasping for breath. I don't think, Peter said in between breaths, gasping for air, that I want to play this game anymore. But we have to, said Judy, as she helped Peter back downstairs. I'm sure that's what the instructions mean. That lion will not go away until one of us wins this game. Peter stood next to the card table.
Okay, so this is the 4th part. So for the number 4, write a number 4 and write down what happened in this 4th part. Pause it if you need to. Take your time. Write what you remember happening in this last piece that I just did. Keep it paused until you're done, and then you can start the video back up again.
Can we just call the zoo and have him take them away? From upstairs came the sounds of growling and clawing at the bedroom door. Or maybe we could wait until Father comes home. No one would come from the zoo because they wouldn't believe us, said Judy. And you know how upset Mother would be if there was a lion in the bedroom. We started this game, and now we have to finish it. Peter looked down at the game board. What if Judy rolled a 7? Then there'd be 2 lions. For an instant, Peter thought he was going to cry. Then he sat firmly in his chair and said, Let's play. Judy picked up the dice, rolled an 8, and moved her piece. Monkeys steal food. Miss one turn, she read. From the kitchen came the sounds of banging pots and falling jars. The children ran in to see a dozen monkeys tearing the room apart.
Okay, so what happened in the 5th part? So think about it. Think about what just happened in the 5th part. And you'll write a number 5 down, and next to that, write what happened. Take your time. Keep the video paused. Pause it while you're doing it. Take your time, and then start it back up when you're ready.
Oh boy, said Peter. This would upset Mother even more than the lion. Quick, said Judy, back to the game. Peter took his turn. Thank heavens he landed on a blank space. He rolled again. Monsoon season begins. Lose one turn. Little raindrops began to fall in the living room. Then a roll of thunder shook the walls and scared the monkeys out of the kitchen. The rain began to fall in buckets as Judy took the dice. Guide gets lost. Lose one turn. The rain suddenly stopped. The children turned to see a man hunched over a map. Oh dear, I say. Spot of bad luck now, he mumbled. Perhaps a left turn here. Then. No. A right turn here. Yes, absolutely. I think. A right turn. Or maybe... Excuse me, said Judy, but the guide just ignored her. Around here, then over. No. Over here, around this. Yes, good. But then... Judy shrugged her shoulders and handed the dice to Peter. 4, 5, 6, he counted. Bitten by tsetse fly. Contract sleeping sickness. Lose one turn. Judy heard a faint buzzing noise and watched a small insect land on Peter's nose. Peter lifted his hand to brush the bug away, but then stopped, gave a tremendous yawn, and fell sound asleep with his head on the table. Peter, wake up, cried Judy. But it was no use. She grabbed the dice and moved to a blank. She rolled again and waited in amazement. Rhinoceros stampede. Go back 2 spaces. As fast as he had fallen asleep, Peter awoke. Together they listened to the rumble in the hallway. It grew louder and louder. Suddenly a herd of rhinos charged through the living room and into the dining room, crushing all of the furniture in their path. Peter and Judy covered their ears as the sound of splintering wood and breaking china filled the house. Peter gave the dice a quick tumble. Python sneaks into camp. Go back 1 space. Judy shrieked and jumped on her chair. Over the fireplace, said Peter. Judy sat down again, nervously eyeing the 8-foot snake that was wrapping itself around the mantel clock. The guide looked up from his map, took one look at that snake, and moved to the far corner of the room, joining the monkeys on the couch. Judy took her turn and landed on a blank space. Her brother took the dice and rolled a 3. Oh, no, he moaned. Volcano erupts. Go back 3 spaces. The room became warm and started to shake. Molten lava poured out of the fireplace opening. It hit the water on the floor, and the room filled with steam. Judy rolled the dice and moved ahead. Discover shortcut. Roll again. Oh, dear, she cried. Judy saw the snake unwrapping himself from the clock. If you roll a 12, you can get out of the jungle, said Peter. Please, Judy begged as she shook the dice. The snake was wriggling his way to the floor. She dropped the dice from her hand. 1 6, then another. Judy grabbed her piece and slammed it to the board. Jumanji, she yelled, as loud as she could. The steam in the room became thicker and thicker. Judy could not even see Peter across the table. Then, as if the doors and the windows had all been opened, the cool breeze came in and cleared the room of the steam. Everything was just as it had been before the game. No monkeys, no guide, no water, no broken furniture, no snake, no lion roaring upstairs, and no rhinos. Without saying a word to each other, Peter and Judy threw the game into its box. Then they bolted out the door and ran across the street to the park and dropped the game under the tree. Back home, they quickly put all of their toys back away. But both children were too excited to sit quietly. So Peter took out a picture puzzle. As they fit the pieces together, their excitement slowly turned to relief, and then to exhaustion. With the puzzle half done, Peter and Judy fell asleep on the...
Okay, so this is 6. So you're going to write a 6, and then what has happened so far in part 6. And this was a little longer than the rest of them. So take your time, think about what happened. Hopefully you were paying attention while you were listening, and jot down some notes about what happened in this 6th part. And go ahead and pause this. Give yourself some time. Think about it and write it down. So pause it till you're done, and then go ahead and start it back up.
The sofa. "Wake up, dears," called Mother's voice. Judy opened her eyes. Mother and Father had returned and their guests were arriving. Judy gave Peter a nudge to wake him. Yawning and stretching, they got to their feet. Mother introduced them to some of the guests, then asked, "Did you have an exciting afternoon?" "Oh, yes," said Peter. "We had a flood, a stampede, a volcano. I got sleeping sickness, and..." Peter was interrupted by the adults' laughter. "Well," said Mother, "I think you both got sleeping sickness. Why don't you go upstairs and put your pajamas on? Then you can finish putting your puzzle together and have some dinner." When Peter and Judy came back downstairs, they found that Father had moved their puzzle into the den. While the children were working on it, one of the guests, Mrs. Budwing, brought them a tray of food. "Such a hard puzzle," she said to the children. "Daniel and Walter are always starting puzzles and never finishing them." Daniel and Walter were Mrs. Budwing's sons. They never read instructions either.
Okay, part 7. So that was a much shorter part, but what happened? What happened in part 7? Again, pause your video and take some time, write down what happened in part 7, and then start it back up.
"Oh, well," said Mrs. Budwing, turning to rejoin the other guests. "I guess they'll learn." Both children answered, "I hope so." But they weren't looking at Mrs. Budwing. They were looking out the window. 2 boys were running through the park. They were Danny and Walter Budwing, and Danny had a long, thin box under his arm.
Okay, so that is the end. So that was a really short last part. So go ahead and pause it and write down what happened in the end. And once you are done, then go ahead and start the video back up, because we are going to start writing what happened here on our sequencing. And if you see, I've got 1 through 8, okay? But make sure you have written something down for all of yours so that you can decide, you can look and see if what Miss T's writing down matches what you heard in the story. Okay, so first part of the story. So I'm going to put Mom and Dad left. The kids got out their toys and made a mess. Oops. And then they were bored. So they went outside. So this is all what happened in the first part I showed you. So Mom and Dad left. The kids made a mess with their toys. They ended up getting bored and they went outside. So their names were Peter and Judy. So when they went outside, they went to the park. And they found a game. If you said they played in the leaves, that's okay too. The game was called Jumanji. Peter wants to leave it, but Judy says, take it home. Okay, so first Mom and Dad left. The kids made a mess with their toys. They were bored and went outside. Then Peter and Judy went to the park, found a game, Jumanji. Judy says, let's take it home, even though Peter wanted to leave it. Okay, so they set up the game for number 3. And read directions. And it doesn't end until they get where? Right. Doesn't end till they get to the Golden City. Okay, good job. Okay, then suddenly Peter takes a turn and a lion appears. And they get trapped in the bedroom. All right, good job. Okay, guys. Peter takes a turn and a lion appears. They get trapped in the bedroom. Then number 5 is they try to figure out how to fix it. But keep playing the game. monkeys are in the kitchen. That's not good. You think your mom or dad would be happy if you had monkeys in the kitchen? Oh, I don't think so. Okay. Then they decide to keep, for number 6, keep playing. Lots of things show up. Lots of not good things, right? So there was a monsoon. Kept raining and pouring in their house, remember? And there was a python, the big snake. There were rhinos stampeding in their house. There was a volcano. Remember the lost guide who kept talking about what way he was going to go? And the fly that bit Peter and made him go to sleep? And then Judy makes it to the city. To the Golden City. Sorry, Miss T is trying to write this. I'm running out of room. Then things go back to normal, don't they? They take the game back to the park. I would too. I don't want anything to do with that, huh? So they keep playing. There's a monsoon, a python, rhinos, a volcano, the lost guide, the fly that bit Peter, and made him go to sleep. Then Judy makes it to the Golden City. Things go back to normal, and they take the game back to the park. Okay, and for number 7, so everything's back to normal. They started playing a puzzle. Their parents come home. They try telling their parents, don't believe them. Their parents tell them to ready for bed. And then come downstairs and finish the puzzle and eat dinner. Then finally, when they're working on their puzzle, they're talking to a guest that their parents have at the house. And they see the guest's kids in the park with the game that they're pretty sure is Jumanji. So that mom better get ready for some stuff to go on in her house. All right, guys, good job. So those are the things that happened. If you want to go ahead and pause the video here, and then you'll have this graphic organizer on your screen, and you can compare it to your notes and see if you were paying attention and if everything I wrote down matches what you did. All right, good job. I know this was a pretty long lesson, but it included a lot of things. We did the video, we did sequencing practice, and then we actually listened to a story and put it in sequence and order as we were listening to it. All right, guys, you did a really good job, and this is the lesson for this week, and have a great rest of your week, and I will have another lesson for you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.